Okay, I am calling this workshop session to order. And right from the beginning, I want to address something that bothered me a lot over the weekend. On Sunday's Observer, there was an article under the title, "Water Study for Fredonia Began with False Premise." North County, Chautauqua County Executive-elect George Borrello chose to write an article, opinion, about the North County Water District. In it, he names me personally and the village of Fredonia and accuse both, being me and the village, of false statements and of false decisions. So I would like, first of all, I don't understand what a negative article like that in the beginning of somebody's term as a county executive will bring to the area. What possible positive effect can something like that bring to the area? Let me be a little more specific. The issue with the North County Water District's original Phase 1 proposal did not call for Fredonia's reservoir to be decommissioned, or did it call for the water treatment plant to be closed. Now, original, I looked, and this is probably something like 2010. That was the original. In fact, it was quite the opposite. Fredonia's reservoir and treatment plant would have been used as a secondary supply and backup for the water district. Also, money was allocated in the plan to provide new infrastructure in Fredonia, including new water mains and a water retention tank. I don't know where he found these facts. If Mr. Borrello has anything in writing, I want to see it. I'm right here. The fact is that from 2010 to 2016 is not only 6 years. Also, the county changed from one company, Wendell, to another company, Clark, Patterson, and Lee. Yes, originally, 2010, Fredonia was supposed to be part of the supply. However, at least from 2013, was not. I have here a resolution by the Board of Trustees. Here, the resolution states, whereas at the village board meeting held on July the 22nd, 2013, the executive director of Chadwick Bay, when questioned, disclosed to the village board for the first time that the implementation plan and proposed application by the county calls for the closing of the village water treatment plant. This was 2013. 2013 was the village was supposed to close down the water plant if it was going to be part of the North County Water District. I really don't know how to go on from now. Money was allocated to provide new infrastructure in Fredonia. This is what I know. When I was elected, the current county executive, Mr. Horrigan, called me, and we discussed a little bit of the North County Water District. I didn't know much. He offered me his opinion, and he offered me some facts. And at the end, he said, it's going to be up to you, up to the village. Keep your supply for as long as you like. Keep your supply for as long as it's reliable. Build the interconnect, so you can be part of the district, use your own water. When the reservoir is not good anymore, you have the interconnect ready. And there is some money for that. Yes, that was the plan. That was the money he's talking about. It was about $400,000 out of something that was going to cost village $2.7 million. And I remember saying, well, it's still about $2 million, at least at the village. He said, well, yes. The study that the village of Fredonia paid $150,000 for, this is from Mr. Borrello again, started as an incorrect assumption provided to the engineer firm. Regardless of whether that was intentional, some people might consider that rigged. Let me be very clear. O'Brien and Gear was not asked by anyone in the village to give us their opinion about the North County Water District. We posed to them two questions. One was, how much money do we need to spend to fix the reservoir and the spillway? The other one was, how much money do we need to spend to decommission the plant? Nothing else. They were not asked to provide us comparison numbers. They were not asked to provide us opinions. They were not asked to provide us anything, just two numbers. Then we took the numbers, and the administrator and myself, he put the numbers together. We studied the numbers. We presented them. I stand by those numbers. I stand by what I said at that point. It is important to point out that currently the North County Water District's construction and implementation have been supported by many grants that equal about 50% of its cost. I am in no position to know that. I'm happy if they found 50% of the cost. It's fairly safe to assume that funding the needed repairs to Fredonia's reservoir, like its cracked and crumbling spillways, could have been supported by grants had Fredonia become part of the district. For somebody who very shortly will be the top executive officer of the Chautauqua County, assumptions like that can be dangerous. You cannot assume that you can find a grant, spend the money, and then go looking for it. If Mr. Borrello has any information about grants that are going to pay for our spillway and the cracked and crumbling spillway, please provide that in writing. We're very open to that. We're just not open to assumptions. Lastly, it says here, it seems clear there needs to be an open line of communication between the county and the village. But that has to start with the village's government willingness to cooperate and communicate openly and without predetermined bias. Why does anybody think that we have a predetermined bias against something that is probably going to save money for our people? This is a question that it's a serious question. I want somebody to come forward and say, you're biased because. And I have to ask why Mr. Borrello chose, instead of using the time between his election and his inauguration, instead of coming to different municipalities to talk, to ask questions, to ask us about our problems, why, instead of that, he starts with this? I think that his job is supposed to be to build bridges, not burn them. He's supposed to be able to create consensus, not put wedges between the municipalities, and the county. It's not a serious approach. It's not good for the county. It's not good for the village. It's not good for the people. It's not good for anybody. I have to say that I had an excellent working relationship with Vince Horgan. I knew we met very shortly after my election. I knew that I had a supporter. If I gave him a call to ask his opinion, to ask his advice, to ask his point of view, to ask for help. He was there all the time. When I called and said, we have this colored water, and I called the senator too, well, he arranged in about an hour and a half a conference call. I went to his office. He said, Mayor, let's get you some money. I had a lot of confidence in Mr. Horrigan. I really hoped, I still do, that I'm going to have the same relationship with Mr. Borrello. It's the only sane way to move forward. But I don't think that this article in the Observer is a good start. So with that, of course.
I'm the only one that's on the board that started out 4 years and 9 months ago, and I've seen, when I came on board with the water district, we had the executive count was Edwards, and then we went to Horrigan, and now we have Borrello, and I have to admit, when I read that article, I was floored. You have to remember in the beginning, when I came on, Mr. Borrello was also a legislator out of in the Silver Creek area, and I remember he was part of that North End Water District Board. And some parts of the things he said may had some validity to it, but I think there's a lot of misconstrued facts. And I was voted for the resolution, and it was by a fluke we found out about the closing of the dam in phase 2. But that was never marketed to us when they came to us and asked us to join the water district. And yes, we were to be a supplier. We had numerous meetings with Dunkirk. We were all on board. And then when it came time for what we actually were giving, I keep looking at Rick because Rick has sat through all these too. The amount of customers we were going to get had continuously diminished. And so what we were just going to get were the people up along Webster Road. You know, so all of a sudden, it would be, if we had joined that and to put all the infrastructure and the new water pumping station, all that, we wouldn't have gotten the revenue back from the few customers we were going to get along that line to even pay for the cost of what it was going to cost us on that yearly basis. I mean, so and I'm glad I saved all the things because I went to numerous water meetings over the past 4.5 years. And I've saved everything, and I'm very disappointed. I thought we were entering a new era, and I don't know where he's gotten all of his information or who he may be listening to, but Fredonia was, and when we point blank asked, it was the secretary for the legislators up there, Mrs. Tampio, and we said, the word was out, and at that time it was Trustee Sue McKay. And she asked the question. I have only one question, and it's a yes or a no. And said, in phase 2, will the village reservoir be shut down? And kind of him to haul around and dance. And finally, I just said, it's an easy question, yes or no. I think we need to be honest and know where Fredonia is going to be. And when she said, yes, the goal in phase 2 is to close the reservoir. So why would we come on board with a project? I know why. I have my strong opinions why, you know. It was going to cost the village a tremendous amount of money. And then we get into phase 2 and we're no longer going to be suppliers. And then we're going to close down a viable, wonderful, fresh water to buy water from the city of Dunkirk. It just made no sense. And I don't regret for 1 minute that I voted against joining the North End Water District. You really need, That's what I'm asking of the board. For whatever reason, this issue isn't going to die. It's going to put to rest. So please, please, please do your homework. Make sure you understand. I have all that material in a box. If anybody wanted to see it, I have the original plans. I have diagrams. But I think we need to really preserve the wonderful water supply we have. It's wonderful. Marketing tool, just find a good way to market again.
And by the way, I think everybody should know that the city of Dunkirk is not part of the North
No,
County
they're
Water
not. They're
District.
just a seller.
I don't know if everybody knows that. The city of Dunkirk is a supplier. City of Dunkirk supplies its own citizens and then supplies the North County Water District. Which means, to me, the North County Water District is the middleman for the water that comes out of Dunkirk. If you think about it, what the water district should do to save money for everybody, the district should own the commodity and then sell to everybody. Sell to the city of Dunkirk, sell to the village of Fredonia, sell to the village of Brockton, sell to everybody. The city of Dunkirk is not part of the water district. So with that, and I mean, we can have our opinions. We can discuss it. I'm very open to discussion. We are right here. You can find all of us. But writing something like that, which means that we had some bias and some, really, we're trying to do something bad here. It's just not a good start. And I'm very sorry for this.
Thank you, Phyllis.
It's been long 4.5 years. You're welcome.
All right. The other thing, do you have this in the agenda? Let's go. I'll start from. You have anything to say? Oh yes, that's another thing. That's about the sewer.
The second article's on there too. It's all highlighted through. If you want to go through it. I mean, I don't know. It's just because
talk about it?
We should. And it's just one more thing, is because there's no.
Yes, you can. And this is, we're talking now about the sewer rates in the town of Pomfret. That was again on the paper over the last week. I'm going to let you expand on that, but I want to tell you something. When they say that they tried to talk to village officials, I don't know what they're talking about. Nobody tried to talk to me. Nobody reached out to me. Nobody sent me an email, a text, nothing. So I was not the official they were trying to reach. Was it you? I know it was not you.
Right. I never was contacted.
No.
Okay. Well, just to make things clear, so everybody understands, we're very easy to find. Nobody tried. Okay, you want to expand on that?
There's something else that came to mind here. Another article in the Observer. It had to do with Portland, Pomfret, Dunkirk Sewer District. They made claims of our skyrocketing sewage treatment charges, and they have issues in Van Buren area that needed to be addressed as far as infrastructure. But the articles appear almost to state that there's the cost is going up because of Fredonia. Well, that's ridiculous, because we charge. We charge. It says $5.50 per 1,000 gallons. That is the end of our contract with them. That's all we have to do, is it. Well, and that's based on their water consumption. Well, they state in here that they're going to add a cost of $440 annual rate to their sewage rates, but they're also going to raise the rate from their $5.50 that we charge up to $12 per thousand. But they, in this article, they state that between the district aging infrastructure and the skyrocketing sewage treatment charges by Fredonia board members acknowledge there's no other option. Well, I don't see, and they claim that our rates have tripled over the years. Well, over how many years? I mean, everything goes up over so many years, but you know, we charge what is considered a reasonable rate for what we have to have. But they're adding from $5.50 to $12 per thousand. There's their costs. The idea that they're trying to send a message that Fredonia is the one that's charging for their costs is ridiculous. But then they go on, they talk about the idea of moving to a new sewer service provider, being Dunkirk. And they want to look into the contract. Well, we do have a contract. I don't know how long the contract goes till.
Once it expires, it just continues on until it's changed.
Right.
So it just continues.
No, but they're under contract with Fredonia, and they're looking to change the idea of possibly going with Dunkirk on their contract. But they're talking about the flows of sewage, flows of water into the Dunkirk, into our plant, and how they're how they're being charged. But the article is actually reflecting something that it really isn't. We don't have a meter on sewage. We have meter on water.
No, we do have sewer meters on that PPD.
On the PPD.
Yes, on the PPD one.
Okay.
Yes.
But that's still based on the
Flow.
right. That's the 550 per
Right.
thousand.
That's
right.
about what it comes out to be. Is
But
the
they also
550.
talked about the idea that they have a big problem with water runoff getting into their sewage.
Right.
And it's a massive number. That's not our fault.
Right.
That's their fault. You know, it was about what was the number on that? That was huge. There was the infiltration of the.
Yeah. Inflow and infiltration in their system is what causes the spikes in their
Right.
charges.
And their charges, correct.
It's not the village rate itself. It's the I&I. During wet months, you tend to have water getting into their pipes
Right.
and then going to our plant and having to be treated.
Right.
Everybody has that issue. The village of Fredonia has that issue.
Right.
Everybody has that issue, but it's not our fault.
Right.
It's infrastructure issues, just like all the other old infrastructure that's in these grounds. Dunkirk, Fredonia, every place across this country.
Yeah.
They have a number of 10 million gallons entering their pipes. I mean, so 10 million gallons is going to cost them a lot of money.
Yeah.
But that's not our fault. That's their infrastructure. It has nothing to do with us. We do not take care of the infrastructure with that $5.50 per thousand. That's their responsibility. So I kind of have a bit of an objection to referring to Fredonia once again in a negative light when we're a service provider for them, and it's a quality service provider. So I don't know where this article comes from.
I just want to say, just mention something. We have a very good relationship with the city of Dunkirk. We have a very good relationship with the municipalities around us. We're trying to build consensus. We're trying to build, that's what I feel is regionalism, to bring new businesses here, to bring new people here, to bring new life here. And all of this, they're just hurdles on the way. Why? Like, I don't want to know. Like, this is not our problem. It's not our fault, correct? I don't want to name whose fault it is. We have our problems, trying to fix our problems. Each municipality has its own problems, trying to fix their own problems. This is not helpful for anyone.
But can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
This straight, then the rates have not tripled. The amount of treated stuff probably has
Correct.
tripled.
The calculations that are done
that's the
to
problem.
develop how much they owe the village, they used to get credit for what was called CODs out of Carriage House. They used to get credit for CODs coming out of Cliff Star. They no longer get those credits either. So those things impact their calculation on how much they owe the village. It's not the village, it's the calculations that are, and their I&I, influent infiltration into the system. Those are the factors that are impacting their cost. Mostly the I&I. The I&I is huge.
So say, because if we're under contract with them, unless the contract changes, or, we
Well,
enter into.
contract is actually expired.
But you said it rolls over at the
So it
same
just
rates.
continues on until, but I don't know why they came out in that article and said that there has been no response from the village of Fredonia. Well, nobody contacted us.
That was
Well, there
another,
wasn't
that was
a fa-
another question. I didn't actually get to that. You're
Uh-huh.
right. They,
They said that.
they
Nobody
actually
contacted
said
us.
that they had made a request and contacted the village of Fredonia. In the 2 years that I've been on this board, I have not seen anything.
Yeah.
So I asked the mayor, and she said no, and you
That's
said
what
no.
Yeah, I asked the
So,
mayor the same thing. I said,
I don't
they
know
haven't
where they're getting this
contacted me, they
information about.
contacted you, but,
And now they claim that they're looking at asking the county to help them change, sounds to me like that's another one of these, let's regionalize with, with Dunkirk,
Regional, it's the,
the whole
Yep.
same thing, but, well, tell you what, that's gonna, that sewer main all the way to the east end of Dunkirk's gonna be pretty pricey too.
All right, all done with the bad stuff.
okay.
Let's start with some good ones. The first thing on your review resolutions is the New York Main Street Program Awards. Probably you know by now that last week when the governor announced the new REDC CFA awards, the Village of Fredonia was awarded $450,000 for helping. We're going to help restore an historic building in downtown Fredonia. That's the old seat card building, which was underutilized for many, many years, in need of upgrades, updates, and all that. And I'm very happy this $450,000 are going to go towards that. It cost the village nothing. We applied for that, but from this point on, a private investor is taking over and is going to cover the rest of the expense. Is going to utilize the whole building, provide and produce, create some jobs. Correct? I think it's excellent. It's on top of the one we got in the first year. So from Regional Economic Development Council, we have over $650,000 up to date, one for the Barker Common and one for the old car seat building. So this is great news. This is great news. It's one step towards revitalizing the downtown. And let's not forget, this is part of a regional application. This is part of Central Connections. We worked on that with the county executive, with the city of Dunkirk, and with the SUNY Fredonia. So this is regionalism at its best. We got money this year. The city of Dunkirk got money. So I am more than happy that we finally are there. Anything else you want to add? All right. So that's that. And we got the bond resolution for the Barker Common Grant. Do you want to explain why we needed it?
Yeah, before you can start authorizing and signing off on contracts, you need to have the the financing in place in order to do that. The way this bond resolution reads is that it's for $415,000. It was $414 and change, so I just rounded it off to $415,000. The bond resolution states that the bond resolution itself is reduced for every dollar that we receive in federal and state grant money. So as we get grant money, the amount that we're allowed to borrow against that bond resolution reduces by an equivalent amount. Okay, so at the end of the day, with the money we're supposed to get from the state, that bond resolution won't be for $415,000. It will be for something much less, somewhere around the $100,000 mark. Nathan?
In all likelihood, less than that.
Less than that,
Yes.
because we have in-kind that we can use also, right? So, yeah, so that's the way that bond resolution works. It's a little different, and it's a little bit different than the normal bond resolution where you're just going to go buy a truck, you put out a bond resolution, go and buy the truck, and you just start paying on the bond. This is considerably different.
And also, I want to clarify something. When we sent you the 3 proposals for the Berkeley Common planning, it was not my intention to sign any kind of contract tonight or to offer a contract to anybody tonight. My intention was and is to actually make a decision as to which one of the 3 proposals is we think is best. And so we have a tentative decision on that because until we get the contract from the state, so I can say the contract for the grant, I don't think we should we should even read any other contracts, we should offer any other contracts. Now, as I understand it today, we got the contract.
Correct.
Okay. I didn't have any time to read it. I'm going to give it to Don, to our attorney tonight. So, and then sign it and then go further out. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So we can discuss a little bit the.
Hey, Nate, can you discuss the, was this an RFP or an RFQ?
This was a request for proposals
Okay.
for professional design services, originally budgeted at, I believe, $58,000. All 3 proposals were under that and were deemed to be qualified. So this services will include public engagement, scoping, conceptual plans, all the way through design development.
And budget.
Correct.
So, in essence, what they're going to do is involving the public and officials at the same time, are going to come up with a plan to meet our criteria. For example, this is an historic park, is the first public park in Stockholm County, so we have to keep with that theme. At the same time, is a park where that we use for different activities, the Italian Festival, the Farm Festival, hopefully many more. So they're going to take all that input and put them into a proposal, and then come back with a proposal. I understand that one of them is coming back with 2 proposals, and the rest are coming back with half of a proposal to discuss it and go further. As Nate said, all 3 of them are considerably under budget, which is good, because you can use the rest of the money on something else. And I sent you an email with my input. So if you want to, I wasn't able to do that, so, but I sent you an email with my input. So do you want to discuss it a little bit as to?
I didn't get it. I mean, I didn't
Oh,
have
I-
the email. Was it
But I gave
thing
you
that you
the
printed
proposal.
out? All right,
Yes,
yeah, I
yes.
read all those then.
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't, well, you
No,
don't have an
it-
email, so I
Yeah.
can give you my thing. I can give it to you as soon as we're done. Here.
Yeah, I tried what you've given me.
Because you have to, I mean, you have to decide on one of those three proposals. As I said, I believe all three of them are going to do a more than fair job. I think all three of them.
Each of them that I liked.
Yes.
There were, I
yes,
thought there were good things.
Yes.
There was one that I rated number 1 in my estimation.
Okay, and
then
which one was
And then
that?
when we were talking about, and then in the matrix that Nate sent, I believe it was also the same one that was,
So Joy Kibler?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I don't know if we could say that out loud.
Yeah.
We do.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
This is
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can discuss
Okay.
it. They're
Okay, that's
open
okay.
bids,
So we-
so that's.
yeah.
Okay, that was the one I thought was,
I reviewed
I
all,
liked the
all
best.
3 proposals online thoroughly, and I initially came up, my first thought was the Joy Keebler, and then I went through them again to make sure that I was sure of where I wanted to go with that. And I mean, initially, one of the biggest things was that the lower cost, but then as I reviewed them, I felt that the overall, I thought, based on the
But you-
scope of
you
the
have to-
project,
You have to, the price is only 20%.
right,
On the RFP that we sent. The rest, and you have the criteria. It's about 35% the experience, is that right? And 30% the understanding of the project, and then 20% the price, and then 10% the availability, and another 10% the resumes of the people involved.
yep.
So you cannot base your opinion only on price.
right. No, actually, I didn't. When I went through that, the breakdown on it, I still felt that Joy Kibler was the best option overall.
Okay.
And that is how I looked at it over the weekend. I broke it down like that.
Police, what do you think?
I haven't, what you printed out and what I have though, I didn't have figures of the difference of what the 3 different proposals were.
No, I gave you one page
Yeah.
with a different percentage that each one. We need that print out.
That's
Yeah.
not the right proposal.
I know, that,
Okay.
I don't know. Are these? No? See, this is what she printed out for me that I took home and read.
Yeah, this is what Brian did. This was for the
Yeah.
pipeline,
Yeah.
the pipes.
And then,
And then this is just the, this is the.
and those are the
bond
2 things she
authorization.
gave me. Wait a minute. Is this the one then too?
No.
No? See, I don't,
That's for the wastewater treatment plant.
No, I printed one page with only the page of the RFP who said the percentages.
Nate, so there is no requirement to pick the lowest bidder?
No. So again, the state looks at, allows the village to consider any number of factors which were outlined in the RFP, including fee, timeline, availability, references, experience, similar projects, etc. The only thing, if we don't pick the low bidder, we just have to document why that was, and that's why we'll provide a matrix regardless of who's selected, outlining reasons, and so on and so forth. Again, there is MWBE goals. It's not necessarily a requirement, but you have to do your due diligence to meet.
But the 2 of the companies are already.
2 of the 3 are women business enterprises.
Which means the whole amount can be deducted from
Correct.
our requirement. Yes.
And it's 30% of the grant amount. The grant amount was around $310,000. And that 30% is broken down to 17% woman business enterprise and 13% minority business enterprise.
oh yeah, that's right, I remember that.
But if we pick one of the 2 that is already certified, then the whole $41,000 or $45,000 is deducted from that amount that we required. So we have much less.
And again, it is a goal.
Yes,
So you
no,
don't
I
have to
understand.
spend more money to award a contract.
time, nothing. We finished construction. We don't even start in anything. Then if we it's very simple. Going to make there's no contract in between us. There's no, it's just you see 3 proposals and you say, I think this is the best for the village. They're going to offer a contract after we sign the contract with the state, and that contract is going to come to you, of course. But at this point, I mean, can I know what kind of questions are these?
Mayor, again, I apologize for holding anything up. I was left out of the email string on these, okay? It didn't have any at all oversight over the bidding process. If you're confident, then please move forward. I just cannot give you advice that this is the way to go based on what I know as of today. I'm sorry.
Is there anything legally that we're doing right now?
I'm not aware.
Do you think you have anything legal liability?
And Mayor, again, this is what I'm trying to figure out. That's all. It is a very difficult process, and there's a lot of little I's to be dotted and some T's to be crossed.
Because let me tell you, it was a big, huge fight to come over here, to come to this point. We are liable to the state at this moment, because I'm going to give you the contract tonight, and I will sign this contract. There is a resolution that I can sign the contract. We have to go forward this project. We got the $450,000 partly because we're having this. I cannot have any jeopardization, I don't want to jeopardize anything.
But can I ask, I thought when we did this the first time, because I had a little trepidation in the beginning of it, and I agree with you, we've been down this road so many times, but the end result of us agreeing to this and then you signing it, resolution, was that it came on the recommendation of the attorney. In other words, all the final things had come out, he got a chance to look at it, and he signed it and said, yes, this is a go and we're going.
Yes, that's
But if this gentleman hasn't had the
But I'm not signing anything. I'm just asking the board to choose between the 3 proposals. Which one you think is the best for the
But we're
village?
not- right.
There is no signing of any legal contract. The contract with the state, we just got it today. I didn't even see it. And to be honest, I'm just going to give it to Dan straight away because he has to see it. So anything that I sign, of course, goes through.
You know, and I understand that you were, you know, as you said, we've gone, and I thought we were going to get this before this time. But my concern is now, in my eyes, there's been a lot of changes that has happened since we all discussed this in the fall. And what I mean by that, we've had more very high expenses come before this board. Now we're really looking at some really big additional expenses that the village is going to be coming from, and one of the big ones is the big project that's going to be going on in the village with the streets, and what that was $800,000 that it's going to cost, and now it's over $1 million. I mean, when we're only, and I don't know if this will be the last meeting or if we're going to meet next week Tuesday, you know, this board is only got 1 more week to make that decision. For me, where I sit now, I think in fairness to the 3 other, the new ones coming on board, what is 1 more week or 2 weeks to be able to have the new board decide? Because we did that for your new board coming on when we were going to appoint somebody for Sue's vacant committee. We gave that courtesy to the new incoming board so that there would be no conflict.
But this board has accepted the grant. We cannot go back to that. So it's been accepted.
I know, I agree.
The state knows that we accepted the grant. We cannot say now that, you know what, we have expenses, so take your money back. We don't have that.
So we're locked in. We don't have an option.
We're not locked in. We're not locked in yet. We're not locked
What she
in.
just said, we
The
agreed to
state,
accept
we
the board.
accepted, you, the board, accepted the grant.
We accepted the grant, but we're not locked into this project until we pass a bond resolution to pay for this grant and this project.
Mr. Essen, I'm going to ask you to, from now on, go out and find money for this village. I brought to this village $3 million in 2 years. I'm very serious about that. It's not easy to go and ask for money.
And Mayor, I may add, I did support those 2 grants that you got for the
But it was
infrastructure.
because I got this first. The state, well, maybe you believe it, maybe you're not. You're not in this village hall ever to see what's going on in the morning.
I work during the day.
I'm not
sorry.
saying no.
My
I'm not
job is
saying
not
no.
full-time
But you
as
have
a
to
trustee,
say-
Mayor.
But then you have to accept some things as facts.
I accept things after I have proper knowledge of everything that's involved.
This thing has been discussed in this village hall for about 1.5 years. How much more knowledge can anybody possibly have?
This entire board has not received all the facts and all the data and everything involved in this, Mayor. I hate to tell
What are you
you.
talking about? What is that you don't have?
We have not
we're
been kept
going
up to date
anywhere.
this entire process.
We're
That is not a
going
lie,
anywhere.
that is
Excuse me.
fact.
We're not going anywhere until I know, and I write here, what you don't have. Because I don't have anything that you don't have.
Where exactly do we stand on the particulars of the grant right now? We're not kept up to date until we have to make a decision. And then all of a sudden, you got to make a decision now. This is a crisis. We got to get this done right now.
Kept up to date to what? We sent everything to the state. The state has answered us today. Unfortunately, they have other things to do as well. So we got the contract today. I'm going to give it to our attorney today to review it. That's what you're supposed to do. What you don't have, what you don't know about the founders that are crumbling. Who's going to pay for the founders that are crumbling? No, please tell
The
me.
what that is
who-
crumbling? I'm sorry.
The fountains, our historic fountains are crumbling.
I don't
They
think we
need
need,
about
I don't think we need
$50,000.
$414,000 to fix the fountains.
50,000 each. So we're going to spend $100,000, the village, to fix things without fixing anything else, instead of spending about $60,000 to $70,000 and fix everything in the Barker Common. That
Mayor,
makes
I
a lot
agree
of
with
sense.
Phyllis. We have more priority needs right now. I feel that. I've always felt from the beginning, I think we should focus our.
I know
So
you're
we're
against
getting,
grants.
for $60,000, we're getting over $400,000 worth of work. Right?
We have to bond that $400,000, Kara.
I
Plus, we have to
understand
bond
that.
like about $10 million if you include the.
I know that, Doug, thank you, yes, I know.
Well, you're welcome, and that's a lot of money, and I don't know how that impacts our bond rating and stuff like that, but if we, and that's,
Well, the $10 million, what's $10 million you're talking about?
we have roughly $5 million of projects currently and coming up, and then $5.3 million if we rehabilitate the spillway and the dam and the reservoir.
We're not doing that right now.
No, but these are things that are coming down the road that are probably going to have to be done very shortly.
So this
and
$60,000 you think is going to set us so much back?
We
that
have
we're
to
not gonna
bond
be
the
able to
entire
get-
amount, Mayor. You don't just bond the
Yes, and in
$60,000.
3 to 4 months, we get the money back.
In how many months?
3
4?
to 4 at the most.
I guess, where do you get 60,000 if it's 415,000 and we have to pay
25%.
25% of that?
No,
We're
it's-
100 and,
The grant
13.
is for $314,000. That's the grant we received,
well, why then are we doing a resolution for 415?
because we have to approve the whole amount.
The whole project.
The notion that the state is going to give us money to spend in our discretion, I don't even understand that. The state wants us to prove that we spend the money the way we said we're going to spend the money. I don't want my money to go, let's say, to Silver Creek without knowing where it's going exactly. That's what is going on here.
Didn't we have a room full of people here about almost a year ago telling us that they wanted us to go forward with
Yes, we
this?
did. I thought we were past that, but now we're back on discussing things. If we should accept a grant that we have accepted already. Now we want to return the money back. And I want all the people to know that if next year we don't receive anything, this failure has a name from now on. Please understand that.
Mayor,
It's not easy to go and ask for money from the state. It's not easy to go. Come and see how many emails I have right now for papers that we need to fill up.
Mayor, first of all, this is not the first grant this village has refused. They refused a $1.3 million
That's why
grant.
the village for the next 10 years didn't get any money. How much money did you get before?
It wasn't 10 years. I believe it was 2013 or 14 that grant was refused. It wasn't 10 years ago. It was
What grant was that?
a SAFER grant to hire 9 firefighters
No,
at
that was a
$1.3
federal
million.
grant.
It was still a
Please don't
grant.
It was a federal grant. Don't confuse things. This is a different thing. This is federal and this is state. Different things.
Can we move on with the agenda,
You're
please?
You're also talking about
You can't tell me what to
funds
do.
for employees with ongoing expenses. This is for infrastructure. That's a whole different ballgame. When you're talking employees, the hiring of employees based against infrastructure.
It's very easy to
That is
come here for
completely
2 hours
different.
a week and say, well, that's not good enough. Let's give it back and find money someplace else.
Mayor, I put in well more than 2 hours a week. Just because I'm not here in Village Hall does not mean I don't put in work being a trustee. Thank
Good, I'm
you.
glad to know that. Well, so where are we? Please, Dan, I want you to tell everybody what is the problem here? What is the legal liability?
Ma'am, I wasn't saying that there was necessary legal liability. I was approached by a trustee who had questions regarding the bidding process. Since I had not been involved in the bidding process, I couldn't answer those questions. And all I was asking is a 1-week delay to the next meeting to answer those questions before it could be said that
Can I
was
know
the
what the
process.
questions are and how legally this village is like, what is the problem legally for this village? Like, is that, if I understand it correctly, Mr. Essek wants to stop us from getting money from the state. He
No, I
wants
do
to get the
not.
money that he wants to get. Not the money that we already got. Because he doesn't think that this is a problem. Okay, that's fine. You voted no. There was a majority here who voted yes. We have to accept the, when you have a very responsible position. And the position is, you come here, you discuss something, you present your point of view, you vote your concepts, you accept the majority's decision, and you deal with the consequences. You don't go back every time to say, well, let's revisit that because I did not agree with that.
Excuse me, Mayor, my question was to enter into a contract this evening, which you wanted to do. You wanted to be able to sign a contract for the RFP for architectural design.
And
we
I
had
have the
not.
resolution for that.
Excuse me, we had not secured the funding for the project currently yet. So you can't enter into a contract
We
without.
have.
We haven't, no, we have the resolution, we have not passed a bond for $414,000 yet.
But we have the resolution.
That was an afterthought. That was not mentioned in any emails or any correspondence with you.
It was mentioned in the resolution when we discussed it. Everybody knew, or at least they were supposed to know, because it was discussed right here, and we can find the tape, that this is the way the money is given. The state is not going to say, how much money you need, $400,000, you get the check, and I trust you that you're going to use it the right way. The state says, you're going to find the money, and we're going to come after each step. You spend $50,000, there's your $50,000. You spend $100,000, there's the $100,000, up to the amount that the grant is, $314,000. You want to spend more than that? By all means. But this is what we approved.
I understand that, but you have to have
And we
that money
approve.
appropriated and approved beforehand, not the grant. You have to bond it, first of all, in order to guarantee that you're going to pay the vendors, because you're responsible regardless of whether, let's say part of the grant, we mess up in some paperwork, we don't get $100,000 of the grant. That gets covered out of a bond. You have to bond the entire amount, and that would cover if there was any mistakes or anything like that. That's what I'm talking about. You have to have the money and the finances secured before you sign any contracts with any vendors or any,
Isn't that this next step? This is the next step, bonding the money so that it's available. You've passed the resolution.
okay, up till this afternoon, until Rick had looked into it, that was not even a possibility of happening tonight, Jim, so this isn't like it
Tonight
was
is
planned.
nothing, because tonight I'm not signing any kind of contract. You understand that we just
Well,
got the
now I
contract?
understand that, but also,
Okay, the contract is gonna go to Dan. I will not sign the contract, I will not put my name under any kind of paper without having the attorney looking at it. I mean, how do anybody does anything differently?
we signed a contract for accept a grant without an attorney looking at it
But
as
that's
well.
what- That
No,
was
you
the
did
next-
not sign any contract. The contract came
You
today.
accepted a grant without having an attorney look at it, and that was one of the stipulations within the grant, to have an attorney look it over and a couple other
Our attorney at the
stipulations.
time
We
looked
had
at
none.
it. Yes, we did, because without the counsel of an attorney, the grant could not go on.
Who was our attorney at the time? We were without attorney.
Thomas.
He was not the
Yes,
attorney
he
when we
was. He
accepted
was
the
right
grant.
here. Did he not write an opinion?
Mr. Thomas did.
Yes,
sign
he wrote an opinion.
So there-
Was that afterwards? Was he our attorney at the time?
I don't recall if he was the attorney at the meeting, during the meeting in which the grant was approved, but he did subsequently review.
He reviewed it after the fact.
What's the difference,
What's
Doug?
the difference? He reviewed it.
If the attorney reviewed it and he signed on it, I mean, he's
You
the
wouldn't have
attorney.
signed it if it weren't.
He was
Legal.
the attorney representing the
Legally.
village.
The
and he-
village
and
board
it-
passed a resolution that the mayor accept the grant without attorney review when we did it. That's all
But
I'm
the
saying.
state
What?
does not allow you to do anything without an attorney looking at everything. The state required the village to provide with an opinion from an attorney.
And with that doing so, they sent a contract. The contract is in-house. That's going to be the next step. We have, in order to provide each step, we have to pass certain resolutions to get to that step. This is one of the things we have to do. We have the,
So we need to move forward right now. We can banter back and forth for another hour. It's not good, we're not gonna,
I don't understand why you want to go back, and I don't understand our attorney actually agreeing to going back. We voted on this. The grant was accepted. The municipal opinion was written by the attorney at the time. This is a moving train. Everybody, these two gentlemen over there, are going to jump onto a moving train. We cannot go back and review resolutions because, I didn't agree with that at the moment. I was not in the majority, but wait a moment, maybe I'm going to be in the majority next month. I'm going to give you the contract to review. That's what I have to do before I sign it. If you find problems in the contract, I will not sign it.
Ma'am, with all due respect, I was not trying to weigh in on something. It's obviously a political issue. I was not trying to weigh in on a contract I haven't read, okay? All I was doing was responding to the concerns of the trustee, who told me that there may have been issues with the bidding process, and all I was doing was asking for a week so I could make sure that there were no issues. But if you don't want to go that way, that's a political question.
Is that a political error? It's a local
what-
issue. There's nothing political
what
about
are,
it.
what
What
are
are
the
the
issues?
issues
Would
with
you
the bidding
agree,
process?
excuse me, would you agree that if a resolution is passed, we should not go back and revisit it?
I would agree with that, yes.
Okay, the resolution was passed.
And ma'am, I wasn't here, and I wasn't trying to get involved in
Am
whatever's
I
going on
doing
here,
anything?
but I was
Am I-
asked
No, I
questions,
just
and all
wanna
I was
make
asking
sure
for
that-
some time to review.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that everybody knows there is no resolution tonight authorizing us
To do anything.
to, pick one of those in the group. I think all she's asking for is try to get a consensus on when we do move forward to a resolution.
Mhm.
So I don't think
Right.
there's anything binding at this point. I think that.
I didn't think there
I didn't
was,
think
yeah.
there was either. I thought it was a
Correct
decision.
me
Right,
if I'm
yeah.
wrong, right?
There is nothing
There's
binding.
no,
I said
there's
it
no
about 3
resolution
times.
here.
Mr.
So-
Esser wants to go back and review the resolution that this board has passed
Right.
because he wants to
This
rescind
is a
it.
prep-
Well,
That's-
if
this
he
is
has, I mean, if.
preparation.
first of all, don't put words in my mouth. I did not say that.
You said,
Please.
again,
I
you
did not
went
want to
into that.
rescind
If he has issues,
Again,
let's
you
talk
went
about them.
into that discussion that you didn't know anything about it, you didn't have all the information. That was done. That resolution was passed.
Does it need a supermajority?
The bond resolution does, so if there is somebody that would vote no on it, then there's no reason to.
Mr. Essex is
we
going to
should table
vote
it.
no.
So I was going to say,
Without-
so you said it would be advantageous unto, if there's a possibility that it's not, because there's only 4 of us here, that we could table it till next week when
Mhm. Yeah.
the
Because-
whole board
Especially
would be
because-
Kara's
here?
not going to be
Kara's
here
not
next
gonna be here
week.
next week anyhow.
Who's not?
Kara, not Kara,
Oh, yeah, Kara's
well, you
not.
gonna be here next week? No, because you may not.
Right, yeah.
And I don't know if Katie's gonna be here. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't know.
next week is gonna be problematic. I
Yeah, I
got 2
could be
people
here, but I don't know
downstairs that
about
are on
anybody else.
vacation too, and I
But
don't.
if we did a supermajority vote, that's gonna put it into next year. I mean, it's,
Well, that's when the new board, I think that's what Phyllis was saying earlier, she wants to wait till the new board is seated to go ahead and take up the issue.
I mean, I just was asking,
Well,
I need clarification, and in the discussion,
The other question I have is,
we're
okay, so-
having some
I mean, it's
clarification.
okay to have concerns.
Yes.
And to want to talk about them. That's perfectly fine. So, you know, Doug, what are your concerns?
I think this village needs to concentrate on the priorities.
Okay, so
that
your
it has.
issue is the money. That's your
Absolutely.
concern. So it's really not about the bidding process.
No.
It's not about picking either of these 3.
No, but
As
he
long
wants
as
to
you
not go into the grant, if I understand it correctly, not to spend the $100,000 or the 65, whatever we said, on the parks, give the money back and use the $65,000 towards infrastructure.
Is that
Right.
correct?
That's what I would think, if you ask,
He wants me to say
if
the
you ask
resolution.
the citizens of Fredonia, currently with all our problems, I'm sure they would agree that that's money better spent at this
No,
time.
$60,000 is not going to solve any problem.
well, you asked that question before, Doug, and it was before a very large audience here, and the audience was totally the opposite. So I don't know where you keep coming up with that, but certainly that's what transpired. We had meeting after meeting and we had a large audience, one upon.
Jim, I'm not
upon
arguing
your-
with you. I'm sure all the people here were in favor of it, and there wasn't anybody that was gonna come in and try to, because they see what happens when you disagree with
happens?
somebody.
What happens?
You get jumped on, and I don't think people like to have
I
conflict.
get jumped on because I put myself forward to bring this money in. I brought people here, yes, because that's my job. That's your job too. Bring the people who
People don't
support
like
you.
conflict, Mayor. People aren't gonna come in here and argue and start a big fight in the crowd because they disagree with each other. It's not gonna happen.
We can discuss things, Doug. What makes me argue at this point is because I understand that you want to go back
What he said.
and rescind a resolution that this board, that you're part of, has passed.
How-
To me, that's not
Why do you
acceptable.
keep saying that? I never stated that, Mayor. I don't know where,
But you want to stop, you don't want to use
you don't
the
rescind the
money.
grant, you just
Forget
stop the
it.
process.
Forget it. So not act on something that this board has passed. Is that right?
I was not part of the board that passed that. I
No,
voted against it.
but you were part of the board. No, you were part of the board. You voted against it.
Mhm.
Don't you think that, let's say, 3 of you vote for something that you want, 2 people vote against, don't you think that these 2 people should accept the majority's opinion?
I believe I should accept what I feel was right, and I still stand by my decision. my
Yes,
original
I
decision.
understand that, but should you accept, you're part of a board, shouldn't you accept the majority's opinion?
Mayor, can we move on? I'm not here to be browbeat.
No, I want you to say on TV that you do
I'm not here
not
to be
accept
browbeat
the
by
majority's
the
opinion.
mayor. That's what I'm saying. I'm not here to be,
I think the concerns that Dan has, those could easily be resolved with talking with Nate, because Nate's the one that really handled the RFP process, you and Don McCord.
No,
And
that's-
you guys have done
But
it.
that's questions, what, Doug's questions.
Yeah, well, that's okay. I mean, that's
Is that
what
a
his
problem?
job is
That I
to
have
answer
questions?
questions.
No, but I guess I want to know, what are your other questions, Doug?
because during all the email conveyance back and forth, the mayor wanted to pass a resolution tonight to get into contract with one of these 3.
No, I said it from the beginning.
I bet
You
you.
can you like go back? I said it from the beginning. This is not for a contract. We haven't signed the side. Didn't I say that since we haven't signed with the state, we cannot sign this?
Okay, so I accept your answer. We're not going to sign in any contract tonight. That's fine. As far as me changing my opinion on the bond and how I feel about this entire grant, you're not going to change my opinion. I'm sorry. I feel that that's what I felt in the beginning, and I still feel that way now. I believe we are able to have our own opinions here. I mean, I'm not trying to change Kara or Jim or Phyllis.
You're perfectly in your rights to have your own opinion. I'm just asking to accept the majority's
So at this
decision.
point for a bond resolution, so I asked Kara, maybe you should change your thought pattern on here, and maybe I should ask the same questions to the rest of you. Maybe you should rethink what's going on in our village right now with all the problems we have. And we're not going to spend less money. Our infrastructure, this is just the start of
This
spending
is a
money.
philosophical issue about how to get more money into our community. And Doug has a different perspective about how to do that from us. We believe that, well, okay, I believe that fixing the village and making it look better and making it attractive is therefore going to bring more people and business into the community, and that way we'll have more money to fix things like infrastructure. One of the reasons we have so many infrastructure problems is because there's no money in the community.
And there's a
So
problem
how
that's
do,
been kicked
so the
down
question
road.
is, how do we go about getting more money in the community? That's the essential question here, and I don't know if we're going to be able to come to any consensus about that.
If you read each one of those, not the studies, those proposals, they each stated that what this connection has to the development of your community and how it affects your tax base. So, I mean, if you read it, you do realize that they propose that this project is a benefit to our community.
That will bring in more money.
A benefit to our community.
Can I ask you, how do you think we can bring more money in the community so we can find how we can pay for this bonding if we don't have money?
I'm not sure I have a positive, concrete answer right this moment. I mean, it's going to take a lot of work from us and our surrounding communities
I
and
understand
governments.
that, of course.
It's
But
not,
what kind of work? Like, I think that bringing more businesses means that if we fix the downtown, somebody will come and say, this is just a village where I want to open up a business. I think if it looks dilapidated, people won't do that. That's my personal opinion.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think. I think we fix the downtown, we present a good picture. It's like selling your house. You fix it, you paint it, you put in your roof, you do something.
what happens if the pipes are all broken and they have no water and they have no sewer and they have to spend
So
$20,000 or $30,000?
how are you gonna fix that?
When you have tax base, when your revenues are based on a tax base, you need to be able to build that tax base to provide for those needed repairs and of your infrastructure, okay? And without that growth, it's a multifaceted issue, but without that growth, you can't afford down the road to fix all those things. You have to have the
I
growth.
can't imagine like that Agro-America coming in and saying the park is beautiful, but I can't get any water or sewer to my plant here, and I'm still gonna come in. It's
No,
not
they
gonna
all go
happen.
together. Nobody said that. They all go together. You fix that. It's not only that. You have to fix the village. You have to fix the infrastructure. You have to fix the problem with drugs, with the schools, with safety. It's a picture.
Mm-hmm.
You change the picture and you have more people. That's what I believe. That's what I think. If you think something different, please bring it to the table.
If I may, I'm looking at the resolution right here, so do we need a supermajority or 2/3 of the total voting strength of the Board of
That's the
Trustees?
The
supermajority.
supermajority
Two-thirds.
gets what it is.
And we have
Yeah,
one
four
seat
out of
out.
five, 4 out of 5, one's missing, so if there's one person seated right now, you might as well table it. That's going to vote against it. It should just be tabled.
And there is a deadline on this. That's the other thing. You know, this has been held up for so long over
By
this.
what, Jim? I did not hold this up. I don't know what held this up. I was not part of any
Well,
of the process.
Tell you what, surprisingly, other communities get these kind of small type of projects done. This is small. Matter of fact, if you read the studies again, on the basis of what they do, this was on the very small end of projects, a very, very low-cost project overall. And over the last year, it has taken just way too, this should have been in process a long time ago.
But I don't
And-
think it's fair just to do it to one person, because we all sat here and it went
Yeah,
around.
I-
And there were changes. And I know, I voted for it. And I remember asking, because we were a little bit behind at that point, and we were assured at that point that no, there would be no problem, we would get it together, and we were going to get it by the fall. You know, we would have heard. So, I mean, I don't want it to just make it a point that, because Doug maybe had some questions.
I
or
held this up,
and-
not at all, Phyllis.
you-
There was-
No, that's what I meant. And then I, not having received the thing, and he just looked at my pile, I didn't get him. And I just had some questions. I think we should be able to come in here and ask the questions and discuss it and address it. But I think now you have to accept the fact there's 4 of us sitting here.
Fine.
Do you want to take the vote
I'll just have
and
to be here
grant,
next
chance
week.
it,
I'll
or
just have
shall
to
we
change my
table
plans
it?
and be here next
And then
week.
we can do it. You know, I mean, it can be brought up.
Nate can make it.
Right.
And
No,
where,
I do not.
Nate, where does that,
I'm sorry, Phyllis?
Nate, where does that leave? And their concern was, as Jim says, we're late and everything. What does that do in your end?
We are off track in the original timeline.
Okay,
However, I did speak to our rep at the Office of Parks, Rec, and
Okay.
Historic Preservation today. The term of the contract will actually be 5 years.
oh,
And I do have a copy for Mr. Gard as well. I can send you an electronic copy as well, but the term will be from December 2016 to December of,
21st,
yes.
okay.
I just,
Well,
I think you can just table it.
I mean, that's,
until next week.
Yeah.
I'll just have to
I think
change
it's
my
just
plans and
table
be
it.
here.
Yeah,
And
and
please
it won't
work on
go
the
through next
questions.
week, because I really don't,
Please
I
work
don't
on
have
the
the personnel
questions.
to put
Yeah,
that through.
I could probably solve
Okay,
all
so we'll have to
of
wait then.
the questions I had within
Okay.
a 15-minute conversation with Nate. It's just that I didn't have it before today, and so I didn't have the opportunity. And I really was not trying to hold anything up or take a side or
I don't
anything.
think so.
All I wanted to do was answer the questions that you hired me to ask.
Of course.
Other issues aside, were there any questions regarding specifically the design services or the status of where the grant stands with the state?
No.
I'm pleased to see that we really had the extension, because I thought it had to be in by 18. The project had to be done and all that other stuff by
Yeah,
18. So
Nate's
that's
off
nice
there, yes.
to find out that there's some breathing room there, so that
It
there,
wasn't
I mean,
supposed to be,
Right. Obviously, we still want the project constructed 2018. It will at the very least start, I believe, but. we
yeah,
have
because on one of the
flexibility on
things they
that.
thought it would be, June would be before construction would.
And I think that was one of the problems, that the design takes so long.
I just also would like to say that because I am in favor of this and think the 60, think we should do this, does not mean that I am in favor of recklessly spending the community's money.
Nobody is.
I know
is
that.
for
I don't want people to,
Nobody
I
is
don't
for
want,
that.
we're for this, but I know that we have
My
huge
highest
bills coming up. I
priority-
understand that.
My
but-
highest
so-
priority are things in infrastructure.
Right,
And
as are
your
all of
house,
ours.
And the colored water.
Right.
These are my highest priorities.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that we can't do things together
Right, I agree.
at the same time. Of course, my highest priority is that if you put, if you ask me to choose between the parks and the infrastructure, I won't choose the parks.
Right.
But there's not a choice in here.
And when we keep saying the 60,000, I thought we already put 75,000 in the
75, that's it.
in the budget.
Yes.
Well, it's
right.
just so that you know, it's a bond, it's a bond.
Okay.
We didn't take money out of the fund balance to pay for it. We actually went out the bond because it was kind of, you know, in flux. We didn't really know an exact number at that point, so we just said, let's throw 75 at it. You know, it could be a little more, a little less. And that's why the bond goes through the way it does. So depending on what you spend on it, that'll adjust that bond resolution to the amount that you're going to actually need to borrow, net of the state's contribution that they're going to make to the village.
Right,
for
I
that
just wanted to
project.
make sure, because that's what I had voted on, and so that, I know we did set aside that, so that,
Yes,
that would be
yes.
there
That was
in the
that
bond.
was the amount
Okay.
that we put in the
Yes.
bond, yes, yes.
So it's not anything up and above that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nobody wants to spend money. If I can, you know, if I can spend zero, that's, nobody wants to spend money.
Ricky said that you don't think you can get this together for the next meeting.
No, I got 2 people off, and I,
So we're talking January.
So
because
it's gonna be,
there's notifications and, you know, filings with
Right.
the state and filing with the newspapers and that. You know, that's all done in the outer office. I don't do that stuff. So-
Plus, we have the contract with for the colored water, for the new from the Bryan and Gear,
Mhm.
that we haven't discussed yet.
So we're talking January 8th.
January 8th is the
Okay.
next meeting, yeah.
And that's very important. All right.
so now, the contract that you received from the state today, Dan will then now review that, and that will be also available at the same time as these 2 things then. So the contract.
Well, Dan is going to get it today, so
Right,
whenever it's ready.
so in that first meeting in January, these 3 things could be then dealt with. The bond, the proposal from the contractor, and then, of course, the state's contract that we can then approve for the mayor to sign, correct?
That has already been authorized via resolution last May.
That was the one that we, so
That
okay.
resolution-
It's just a matter, we agreed for her to sign it back then, so we don't have to do anything more with that at that.
You agreed to sign it with the permission of the attorney. The attorney has to see it, and then have
So
to sign it.
that's all that's required then. I just want to make sure I'm clear on where we're at on that. 'Cause
No,
so
the problem is
There
going
isn't another
to be,
resolution, is what I'm
the
saying.
story is going to be around the bond resolution.
Okay, that's all, okay.
That's
Well,
going
as
to
long as you guys can come up to an agreement on the design, the design person.
Right.
And I think the people that at least spoke in favor of the lowest bidder got
Mm-hmm.
out of it.
Correct.
Right.
But I'm not saying that that's,
Right.
Right,
you know, they may come to the same conclusion.
right.
Well, do you have any conclusion about the design or not?
Or any comments about the design?
No.
Any
Mm-mm.
comments?
The 3 choices?
Okay. Right, we'll just table it till-
Yeah, there was no resolution to adopt that anyway, but adopt any resolution for that anyway.
Well, that might take then another meeting then, because if the new people, because that's gonna hold it one more meeting past the 8th then, because if we don't have an idea.
Well, we can have it on the side and just fill in the blanks. So you can have the resolution at the next meeting. You guys can discuss it over again, and hopefully we have a full board at that point in time. There could be a discussion of it, and then if there's a consensus, we could just
We can
fill
do
in the
it then.
blanks.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Yep, that'd be good, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine,
Excuse me.
okay.
So I have a question. According to the resolution, if our attorney is okay with the contract, I would sign it. Should I sign it?
Well, that's a good question, because it's already been, as Nate just stated, the board has already approved.
I mean, I
when-
have the
when-
right to sign
When the
it.
contract
But the
comes.
point is,
that
if we
it's
come
been
back-
approved for her to sign it, correct?
I don't know how the resolution, I don't remember how it read. Did it read, Nate, that pending legal review?
After Dan reviews it,
Right, that's what I don't
Yeah.
know what the resolution read. You have to go back to the resolution and see what the resolution read.
Right.
If it says, you know, that the mayor is authorized to sign pending review and approval by legal,
then she could go ahead and sign it.
then that's,
But that's
Then
not the
she's
point.
under, you know, if he says
But
the
this is
contract
my,
is fine.
but this is my problem. If I sign it, and then we cannot pass the bond resolution,
Then what?
am I liable to the
Well, I don't
state?
think you can sign it until
You're
the
gonna
bond
go to the bond
resolution
resolution.
passes.
$15,000.
No, is that right?
But yeah, you can't enter into a contract before you have a bond resolution in place.
Right.
That's illegal.
So
Okay.
you really
You
can't sign
do
it
that.
then
So you
until,
have to
until,
have-
that's another,
First step would be
Bond
pass the
Issue.
bond. Second
Purpose.
step would be, even if it's approved by the bond, by the attorney, you still need to have the bond in place first before you're authorized to
sign.
sign. Because otherwise, it doesn't matter that he approved it.
okay, so it'll be
because
here
we
for,
don't have the
it'll be,
bond.
it'll be prepared and ready, he'll have
I mean,
reviewed
that
it,
was-
and
that was
it'll
my
be,
question.
it'll be done, okay.
That was my question, yes.
That's a good question.
And this is under, that's the one.
Yeah, that's the one.
So this is,
No, I didn't.
So we took that option right out, now you have to be reviewed by an attorney?
Well, you know, because I would assume that that's due to the fact, like Nate was saying, that the bond, or our attorney at the time had an opinion that he submitted as part of the acceptance of this grant,
I
correct?
don't recall if Mr. Thomas was on board at the time.
But
that
he wrote
resolution.
the, but he
But he
wrote
wrote the
the
opinion.
opinion.
What's the date of this?
We didn't have anybody else write an opinion. Because part of the list that they sent us was an opinion of, a legal opinion by counsel. So we had to have an opinion.
I thought he
I thought he
was.
was.
I thought he was.
Wasn't Todd here
What's
when
the
we
date
had
on
the big
that?
discussion with the people?
There's
all
no
the
date.
people? Wasn't Todd here?
I don't have
know.
I don't remember.
I thought he was. If it
I
was in
Oh,
May,
you
then
don't
he
have
was
the
here
date?
in May.
No, the date's not
The
on
date,
that one.
um,
Do you have the date on
don't
that?
remember if he was in the discussions.
When was that meeting, in August?
I don't know.
April 24th.
April 24th, so we were without attorney on April 24th,
We were?
weren't we?
I don't
So
know.
who wrote the
When
opinion?
did we hire him?
I don't know.
Who wrote the opinion?
I'm sure
What
Todd
about the
wrote the opinion after the fact.
No,
but
that
it's
bond
not-
resolution was written with legal jargon, so, you know, I would assume an attorney wrote it.
That's just a copy of the board minutes, I'll look back through and find the exact date that.
Yeah,
was.
no, that's fine, but I'm just saying that that's basically a legal description, so. it had to
Or was
be
that
written.
given to us by you, the resolution, was that written up by the county?
That was written up, the boilerplate version was provided by the state, and I believe.
By the
it was-
state.
Oh, there you go, I was gonna say, because that's not
So
a
it was not
normal,
written
that's
by
not
our
one of our
attorney.
normal resolutions, that has language in there that's new to the village. Okay, that makes more
Yes.
sense, Nate, yeah.
That was provided because we did not have an attorney at the time.
I believe you're correct.
Please check, because I'm sure that he
Mr.
wrote it.
Thomas.
Oh, he would have to write an opinion,
When-
because that was part of the stipulation.
So-
He needed to have that.
So we shouldn't say that we don't have an attorney, because he
The
wrote
attorney did
legal
review all the
opinion.
paperwork.
Exactly.
So we have the attorney.
Okay.
And maybe he was not part of this.
Okay.
Yeah, probably we'll have a copy. Nate, do you have a copy of the legal opinion?
Not, I do, but not here with me today.
No,
Okay,
but
no.
you do have it,
Yes.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
That, just for clarification too, that opinion of the municipal council primarily dealt with the title of the park itself, but Mr. Thomas did review all the materials up till that date, at that time.
Very good. So, let's go further. I have the building inspector report. This is mine. And then we have the fire department report for November 2017. All right, So, let's move on.
Can I just, I'd like to bring something up, if I may. The Cable Advisory Board met the other night, and they're in the middle of contract negotiations, which are going very slowly, and it's very frustrating. So did everybody get the email from Dave Fredman, or did he just send that to? He didn't send that to everybody? Okay, well, I'll bring it up. I'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting. We can discuss it. And I will forward an email to you about a question and some concerns that they have that they'd like us to discuss. But the other thing I want to say is that the new studio downstairs is done. It's really nice.
What is that?
If people want to stop down, I'm sure that Chip would be happy to host you.
Okay.
And they're looking to expand some of the programs and things that we have on our local cable. So if you have any ideas for shows, let them know. And they've done a great job down there. Cable Advisory Board works very, very hard, and they're all very knowledgeable, and we're very lucky to have them. So I want to thank them for their very hard work.
Great. Very good.
Are we in old business?
Okay, yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Are we in negotiations for an SRO officer currently? Or is the village negotiating or anything with the school? And who is and who authorized?
Right.
And who authorized Brad to do that, to enter into negotiations?
Is there discussions?
I'm sorry?
Yeah, please.
There is no negotiations.
Okay.
There is, the school wants to know specifically, the school wants to map out what they want in an SRO. And they want to present that to us.
Okay.
So, and they have, the superintendent has asked to basically meet with me or call me if he has any questions regarding what training they want the officer to have. He may need to know what training is available for an officer.
Mm-hmm.
But the ball really is in the school's court, and they're putting together a list of qualifications and a job description, for lack of a better term. That word wasn't used, but that's, they want to see specific qualifications in the job description for an SRO, should they in the future decide that maybe they may want an SRO. But there are no negotiations at all.
Okay.
Anything else?
Can I just make a comment about the fire department? I just want to personally thank them, and I'm sure we all do. It was a difficult week for them with that horrific fire over at 1 Temple Square, and we are very fortunate to have both a volunteer and a paid in the EMS. So thank you. I extend my thanks to that company. It's hard this time of year to have that kind of a tragedy happen.
Yes, you're right. Thank you very
One other
much.
thing, Mayor, the DPW, you guys have done a fantastic job plowing the streets. So, thank you guys. I know it's, there's people that aren't always happy, but you know what? We had a whole heck of a lot of snow in a whole little time, and guess what? You need to go home and sleep too, and all that, so thank you very much, and tell the guys thank you, for the roads are good.
Very good, sir. Anything else?
Okay, are we ready? I hereby make a motion to enter in. Oh,
Yeah, we might as well just go into the meeting and.
Yeah,
we're not doing that?
Downstairs.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll go downstairs.
We'll go down after.
Okay, that's right. So,
Look what I did already.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which we stand, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
a special meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Fredonia, duly called and held on the 18th day of December 2017 at 7:30 p.m. in the Trustees' Room, 2nd floor, Village Hall, Fredonia, New York, and public notice of the time and place of this meeting has been given to the news media and conspicuously posted in one or more designated public locations in accordance with Section 104 of the Open Meetings Law.
Whereas notice of this meeting was given to the Board of Trustees and the news media as required by law, now therefore be it resolved that a special meeting of this Board of Trustees be held at this time and place to consider any business that may come before this board.
I second.
Trustee Christina?
Yes.
Trustee Linden?
Aye.
Trustee Jones?
Aye.
Trustee Esser?
Yes.
Reports.
We have two reports tonight. We have the building inspector's report for October. There were 31 permits generated with $2,650 in revenue generated. The estimated cost of work for the month was $197,335. There were 1 permits issued, 12 inspections, and 6 renewals. The second report is the fire department report for the month of November 2017. There were a grand total of 190 calls, of which 135 were rescue and EMS,
Wow.
27 false alarms and false calls, 7 fires, 5 severe weather and natural disasters, 5 hazardous condition, and 4 service calls. And that's it for reports.
Thank you. Public person? Yes.
Hi, I'm Nancy Ortolano. I live at 10 Carroll Avenue. I was here before about the issue. I think Mr. Gard and I are trying to play phone tag. I've been trying to get a hold of you. I have been in correspondence with the mayor and Trustee Esek. I really don't understand exactly what I need to have, because I had contacted Woodbury's, because you said I needed a survey, a special type of survey. And I didn't know what that was. I was trying to explain to him what it was, but he would like any paperwork forwarded to him that the village is requiring. What is it called? Remember?
What we're looking for is a legal description. And I just got the specs from Perry over to DPW. And I was trying to reach you. I would have talked to you about this in person. But I'd be happy if you're going to use Woodbury to discuss it with him and forward that information on to him.
I think it was Matt I talked to.
Yeah, that's probably who you talk to. I work with Matt all the time. I'd be happy to talk to him and show him what we need. What we're looking for is a legal description so I can put the easement on there so that we can record it with the county.
Okay, because there's, okay. You can't use my survey of the property that I had when I bought the property.
No, ma'am. What we're looking
Because
for
you're
is
looking to put the easement, like on a survey.
what we're looking for is a legal description of the easement that we need to do the work on your property. That's all. That's all. Should be very simple.
All right, so if you could send that to him, that would be.
I will call him tomorrow.
Okay. So now the other question is, why am I paying for this?
That's not a question for me, ma'am. When I spoke to the DPW and to the mayor's office, they said this was something that you wanted.
Yeah, well, I want.
As opposed to the village needed. And so
I
then
see.
generally speaking, that's on the property owner to, foot that bill if the village is going to pay for the infrastructure and the improvement.
Okay.
Generally speaking, the property owner would be,
Okay, well, I'm just saying.
responsible for the cost of that
The
property.
drainage system is the village's, but it just happens to be on my property. So I get to, okay, all right. The other thing is, I guess maybe this is to Perry, when you do the digging, is that you came and marked it out? Did you mark it out? Did you mark it? Okay, so you noticed that there's a lot of trees there? Okay, is that going to, because one of them is a huge, huge tree.
We seem at the time feel that we can make the line work without disrupting
the, okay, because it's a huge tree and I didn't want to incur
and
more money to have to cut it down because now the roots are not well.
Well, the roots of the tree won't even impede on the pipe like it is now because we're using a different graded pipe. So
Okay.
it's not
But
gonna
I'm
be
just saying,
reaching-
if you're digging,
Yeah,
then you're going to
no,
destroy some of the.
we should be able to clear it.
Okay, all right. I don't know what else I had. I have to write things down because, I don't remember. Oh, I tried to email you, but my emails kept coming back. Wonderful, thank you. appreciate that. And, oh, Mr. Woodbury said he's not available to do this till next year, just so that you know that.
That wouldn't surprise me, he's very
Okay.
busy.
All right.
Said he's busy.
He's a little busy, so. But I appreciate it, and I just want you to know that my sump pump has not stopped running. It just hasn't stopped since October. So my electric bill was $40 more a month, and you notice the water in my backyard still. So I know it's gonna take some time to fix it, but I appreciate all the work and all the effort that everybody has done. I really do. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for your patience. I really appreciate that. Yes, thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Resolutions.
Okay, whereas the village has been notified by letter dated December 13th, 2017, from the New York State Homes and Community Renewal that the Village of Fredonia has been awarded $450,000 in the New York State Main Street NYSMS program funds as part of the 2017 Regional Economic Development Council, REDC, Consolidated Funding Application, CFA round. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor is hereby authorized to sign the award acceptance certification on behalf of the Village of Fredonia.
I second.
Trustee Christina.
Yes.
Trustee Linden.
Aye.
Trustee Jones.
Aye.
Trustee Essek.
Yes.
So we table
Are you
that.
going to make me do you want me, or is it Christina's going to read that?
We're tabling
No,
that.
we'll table that.
We're
All right, well,
tabling
in
it.
case
Somebody
they
should
still,
make a
I'll make a motion that we table the resolution for the bond.
Need a second.
Second.
You seconded it, Doug?
Yep.
Trustee Christina.
Yes.
Trustee Linden.
Yes.
Trustee Jones.
Yes.
Trustee Essek.
Yep.
And with that, are we having another meeting next week?
It's up to the board.
It was on the list for the 20th.
Are we having a meeting next week?
Well, I was planning on being out of town. I was going to change my plans if we needed to, but we can't do it anyway, so we need to wait. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have the personnel in place to make that happen.
And if
No,
really
just
isn't
to do
going to be
this.
here.
No, because that's where all the notifications come in. I don't have people who put out all those notices and send this stuff to the different places they need to be on notice.
So do you need a motion to cancel next week's meeting? Is that what we
Well,
need to
if
have?
that's what, yeah, if that's what the board, I mean, if that's a unanimous thing that the board would want to do, I mean,
well, should we wait to see what if Katie's available?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
I mean, we don't have anything else for next week, do we?
yeah, I don't have anything at this point, no.
All right, I think we should cancel the meeting next week. Should we pass a resolution for that?
So then we do need a resolution.
Then I make a resolution or a motion to cancel December 26th regular board meeting.
Second?
Trustee Christina.
Yes.
Trustee Linden.
I'm gonna say no.
Trustee Jones.
Yes.
Trustee Essek.
Yes.
I can go to my family.
Well,
You're
that's
done.
it. Well, I want to say something else too. This is your last meeting.
I guess it is, yeah.
I want to thank you
You're welcome.
very much, not only for the service that you provided to this village, but for being a little bit my mentor. You don't even know that, but I listened to what you said. I value our discussions in the beginning. You had a way to make me feel better about doing some things, and I do appreciate that very much, especially when I came here I knew nothing, zero. So I do appreciate that very much. I wish you the best from now on.
Thank you.
Thank you
appreciate
again. Thank you very much.
And it was, yeah, thank you. Long time. And I really thank everybody, and please, as I said earlier, please protect our reservoir. That's all I ask. Thanks.
Right. And then I'll have the resolution for downstairs.
Oh, yeah, oh, I'm sorry. I was going home. I hereby make a motion to enter into executive session to discuss medical, financial, credit, or employment history of a particular persons or matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of particular person.
I second.
Trustee Christina.
Yes.
Trustee Linda.
Aye.
Trustee Jones.
Yes.
Trustee X.
Yes.